Good morning, Nanaimo Alliance Church. This is Joel, Dave, Donna, and Emily checking in from Taiwan. We just wanted to spend a few minutes just kind of telling you about our week, some of the stuff that we've experienced, some of the people that we've met, and yeah, just share about our first week here in Taiwan. Sunday morning, we went to the small group that the missionaries and some of the locals have for church. Myself and Dave, we got to share our testimonies with the people there. We also sang a song for them, which they really enjoyed because Dave used his harmonica as we sang, so it was a good time there. Dave also named a fellow there. It was quite an experience. He didn't have an English name yet, and so Dave called him Jonathan, which was actually kind of cool because we actually got to go visit Jonathan then again on Thursday afternoon. We saw his shop. He shared tea with us. He's a new Christian that just became a Christian not that long ago. His father's starting to open up to Mark, one of the other missionaries here. So it was actually a really good experience to kind of see how the missionaries here are having an impact on the local Taiwanese lives. On Monday, we got to spend the morning going through the market with Lauren here. He took us to all the different stands and the shops that he visits on a day-to-day basis, where he goes and gets his fruit, where he goes and gets his rice. And a lot of the people there were excited to see some other foreigners there and some white people, so we were getting lots of stares and lots of looks, but it was good because we got to have conversations with those people and just see the kind of experience that Lauren has. We also got to pray with another Christian there in the market on Monday morning. His name was Grass, and we got to pray with him about his brother and also about his mother. So it was another good experience. Tuesday and Wednesday, we had a lot of planning, and we got to see some of the sites around, just some of the different local things that we could experience. It was a good time. We got to meet also Mark and Rachel, who were two of the other missionaries from Sifu that we helped with the ESL camp on Friday and Saturday. So it was a good time getting to know them and just to see how things would work on Friday and Saturday. Thursday morning was a good time because we got to see one of Lauren's good friends and one of the people that he's spending a lot of time here in Beijing. This was actually a man that the group that came from the Nanaimo Alliance 2 years ago, they also visited this man. He's a local carver. He carves stone and wood and all sorts of stuff, and his art is really quite amazing. But this is a guy that Lauren has got to spend some time with, and he actually received a squash, a carving of a squash from this carver. And it's quite an interesting story behind that. Lauren was receiving this carving from the school for some of the work that he had done, and this carver was the person that was chosen to do it. So the carver came over to Lauren and asked him what he would like carved, if he would like a dragon or what. And Lauren said, he's like, I would prefer something that was more natural from nature, but if you would like to carve me a dragon, that would be fine. I would appreciate that. Or whatever the people that ordered it, whatever they would like you to carve for me, I would be fine with that as well. So at the end, Lauren was given this squash, and he kind of didn't really think anything of it. It was just a heavy piece of rock, and he kind of tucked it away in a storage somewhere. But then he was talking to the carver one day, and he said, Lauren, do you know why I carved you a squash? And Lauren said, no, why don't you tell me? And he said, well, I see you walking through the market every day, and I see you talking with people, and you're planting these seeds everywhere to all these different people. Now the carver's not a Christian guy, so he didn't realize how symbolic that really was for Lauren, and so now that is something that Lauren really values, and that's something that Lauren keeps in mind as he's interacting with this carver. So it was really good to see just the impact that Lauren had and part of their ministry. Thursday night was a good experience. We got to go to the night market here in Beijing. Beijing is known for its night market. It has a larger one than most of the towns around here. And we got to try some different kinds of food. We ate supper over there. We had some grilled squid. Emily had a big crepe with some fruit and stuff inside of it. So that was a cool experience. But it was also really cool to see Kathy, Lou, and Lauren just interact with the people around the market. They ran into people like their neighbors, people from the school that they work at, and they just it was really cool just to see them. It was another place that they could have a conversation and just continue to build those relationships. And I think that's one of the major things that their ministry here in Taiwan is about, is building relationships with those people, getting into their lives. I have this thing of tea here because tea has been a very important part of the ministry here, because everyone invites you in for tea. If you go over to their house, they say, would you like some tea? I've drank more tea in my life here than I ever have in my life. I know Pastor Gray will be proud of me about that. But it's so influential, because as soon as you go over to someone's house or go over to someone's shop, they say, would you like to have some tea? Now they're doing it just to be polite, but if you say yes, they're going to sit down and they're going to enjoy the conversation, and that's how you get into their lives. And then came Friday. Friday was the first day of the ESL camp. We had grades 7, 8, and 9 students at the ESL camp, and they were quite the handful. We first got there and they were super tense, and they weren't really comfortable with us, and so it took us a while to warm up, but we started to play some games with them, started to have some fun, and then we really got to have the conversations with them. We all taught a different level of class. I taught the students that had the most English, so it was a little bit easier for me to get them to where we wanted them to go during the lesson. Donna struggled as she had the lowest level English, but we all know on our team that that was the best place for her, because the teacher inside of her really came out, and she did a better job with those girls than I ever would have. So we were really happy that she was able to do that. Dave had about one of the intermediate class. He had kind of the jocks, so they weren't overly interested in learning English all the time. So that was Dave's struggle in his class, but he went past that, was able to start building relationships and just have a fun time with them and try and go through the lessons. So we all had a really good time with our classes. We found out quickly that some of the games that we play in Canada don't go over quite well with the Taiwanese people, so we had to scrap those. But as we went through, God was just able to provide ideas for us, and we were able to make modifications, and we were able to push through that, and we had a really fun time. One of the stories that we'd like to share with you about one of the girls in my class, her name was Tina, and we were trying the goal of our English class the last 2 days was to try and get them to be able to tell a story in English about their own lives. And so my class, we had gotten to that point, so they were all telling stories, and all the boys were telling funny stories about how they had lost something, or how they had hurt their brother or sister, or some funny story about a prince and a princess. But when Tina was sharing her story, she talked about how she had lost her father 4 years ago, and that it was a really tough time for them, and how they had spent a lot of time in the hospital as he was sick. And so it was just something that really struck me, and something that I want to make sure that I continue to pray for her. And hopefully the testimony that was shared at the end of at the end of Saturday would be something that would resonate with her, because one of the missionaries here, the local missionaries, he shared his testimony on Saturday afternoon, and he shared the gospel with them. So we were really praying that that would be something that would start to make them question and wonder, and maybe find Jesus through that. So we want to thank you most of all for praying for us over the last couple of days. We really do appreciate it. We really feel honored to be representing the Nanaimo Alliance here in Taiwan. We would really appreciate your prayers over the next week as we go to the TMF conference and start to work with the missionary kids there. So yeah, we would really appreciate your prayers, and we look forward to coming back, and just sharing with you what that experience was like. So yeah, we'll see you in a week.